of you were able to this morning. And as you've just heard, we are recording the session and it will be available on our website after the fact. So we'll give everyone just about 30 more seconds to arrive and then we'll dive into our morning together.
כן.
While we're waiting for people to arrive, I'm going to share.
האמת שאמא שלי, כן, ועוד בגיל שלהם, כל הכבוד להם, באמת. אמא שלי זה היה ירידה, מה זה גדולה שראיתי אותה.
Please be sure to mute when you enter the
וואי, הייתי ממש
Zoom meeting.
מבסוט שראיתי אותה. וזה לא היה כל כך הרבה חודש.
Hey, can everyone see my screen? Oh, and this is the wrong. So sorry about that. There seem to be something odd happening here. Okay, well, anyway, we're going to skip this. Something very strange just happened, but that's all right. In any case, welcome to SEL Day and SEL Week. We're very pleased all of you could join us this morning. My name is Liz Hansen Warner, and I'm the president of SEL4NJ, and I'm here with some lovely colleagues who will be introducing themselves. Just to let you know that SEL Day is brought to you through a partnership of the Urban Assembly, SEL4US, and our international partners, 6 Seconds. And we're very proud that over the course of the last 6 years, SEL Day has grown to be an international endeavor. We have people from all 50 states, and I believe at last count, 60 countries or so have been participating. So, and we're very excited this year that not only is SEL Day, it has expanded to SEL Week. So as part of SEL Week, SEL4NJ, which if you have not joined already, we really encourage you to join. It's SEL4NJ.org, is bringing you the series of 9 webinars throughout the week. These webinars will be recorded and will be available on our website. But if you, it's great you're here today, but we also have 7 more coming up that are just going to be fabulous. So with that said, I am going to turn this over to my colleagues, Bill and Trish, who will be kind of kicking, actually, I think I'm the one kicking us off. But Bill and Trish, do you want to introduce yourselves? And then we'll start diving into this webinar, which is all about SEL and SECD resources available within the state.
Sure. Bill Trusheim. I'm one of the founding members of SEL for New Jersey. I'm on the board there. I'm a trustee and secretary of the organization. I'm also the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Social and Emotional Character Development, and I'm a course facilitator and the resource center director of the Academy at St. Elizabeth. And so, I'm happy to be here with you, and we've got a ton of material. So just know that you'll get the PowerPoint. So we're not going to be able to have time to cover everything in complete detail, but hopefully we'll pique your interest, and that you'll look at the PowerPoint after the fact and see all these resources that are available. With me is also Laurie Coletti is my vice president of NJASECD. And Laurie, you want to introduce yourself? Tell you what your day job is?
Hi, sure. My name is Laurie Coletti. I'm the principal of James A. McDivitt Elementary School during the day. At night, I'm mom. I'm also the vice president of NJASECD, and I'm proud to be here with SEL for New Jersey and all of our colleagues.
And Trish, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Patricia Heindel. I am one of the founding members also of SEL4NJ and currently the vice president. And I'm really happy to be joining my colleagues here to share the social emotional character development resources across the state with you all. I am the co-founder and co-director with Liz Warner, who is also one of our presenters. of the School Culture and Climate Initiative, and we're going to talk about the relationship with school climate to social emotional character development as well. I am Dean and Professor of Psychology at St. Elizabeth University in Morristown, New Jersey, where I direct our Center for Human and Social Development. So really happy that you're all here to be with us.
Great.
And I will share my screen.
Fabulous.
All right, over to you, Liz.
Back to me. So, yes, so we're going to be hearing about three different organizations that are intertwined a little bit, but all provide different types of resources, but all in the realm of SEL for SEL and school climate. This is just reminding us all of what we know, that it is SEL Week. And just some background about SEL NJ and SEL4US, which is SEL4US is a national organization with national reach. This slide it actually should be shaded a little bit because actually there's a couple of states on here that are coming along: Georgia, Florida, Minnesota. But it's really interesting to be able to be part of a network like this because it's bringing people together from all across the country who are really focused on best practice SEL implementation. SEL4US was founded about 7 years ago, and SEL4NJ, we're very proud that we were a founding member. So we learn a lot from our colleagues in the other states, and likewise, we hope they can learn something from New Jersey, because New Jersey, many of you on this call, most of you are from New Jersey, is that, as we all know, New Jersey has been kind of ahead of the game for lots of reasons that we can talk about when it comes to SECD. So as mentioned before, we were established about 2018, and what sets SEL4NJ apart, which is also a great strength, is that we are a collection of 3,400 people who come from 4 different distinct pillars. And that really provides the foundation for a really strong network. So not only, of course, is it all about schools and educators and teachers and school psychologists and school counselors and administrators, but also the key associations and organizations within the state. So PSA, NJEA, the school boards, the list goes on. We're very, they are important, and also really extends the reach. And then SEL providers, because we know that the state is full of resources that are being brought into schools all of the time. And it's really important that those providers have a voice, but also that they can learn from the schools in terms of what works and what doesn't. How can we have those wonderful programs have even greater impact? And then community partners, things like healthcare systems, foundations, those sorts of organizations are key as well. It should be mentioned that we are a not-for-profit volunteer organization. So overall, SEL4NJ, this is sort of our key things. Depending on the year, we are focusing on one or the other more significantly. I think one of the key mainstays of SEL4NJ since its inception was that we connect and we amplify important messages. And that kind of goes to say for our wide base of membership. And also to really, really focus on best practice implementation. The world is full of SEL related programs, materials, resources, experts. However, we know schools are very busy places, and so we hope to cut through the noise a little bit and really help distinguish what is best practice. And so, Trish, that's a perfect next slide, which is we define, for the purposes of SEL4NJ, SEL very broadly. We know that social emotional skills are the foundation of life success, and also all of these things fall under SEL. one way or the other. So just for the purposes of SEL 4NJ, we use SEL as an umbrella term. And so what do we actually do? Which is a very good question. We're going to be talking about some of the resources we provide for what really is best practice integrated SEL. I have an example of that coming up in a minute. We also really are very focused on ensuring that we don't add to the noise and to the confusion out there. We're very focused on addressing any gaps that might exist, as well as amplifying and highlighting important work or messages that some of our partners might be doing. We're not looking to replicate work. We're looking to really elevate and make for you school people, make it even easier for you to access great resources. So at the moment, the main 4 areas of focus for SEL 4NJ is a higher ed working group, which Trish happens to lead, because we know that, the pipeline's important, and root causes and kind of addressing things from the very beginning are very important. So we're working, that group is alive and well and working really hard in ensuring future teachers have the that they need to be super successful in the classroom and in supporting students. We have a Youth Mental Health Advocacy Coalition, which is working on addressing a gap. And that gap is a real understanding of what kind of supports are in schools, what kind of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, as well as really understanding student engagement. So that is at the moment, we're partnering with AmeriCorps and NJASECD, which Bill is the president of, to do a landscape analysis in 3 counties. Very exciting. We also have an opportunity where we're partnering with the New Jersey Department of Ed through the Rutgers SECD lab to basically promote and to provide information around a 5-module leadership course as well, which if we have time later on, we can talk about. And we're also working on with SPAN on a grant to really engage parents and families in the work of SEL. But most of all, overall, all of this, we encourage connection, dialogue, and collaboration. Trish, right? So we won't go into this, but on our website, we have these data briefs. They're kind of one-page documents that really provide an insight into what does it look like if SEL is embedded in the fine and performing arts? What about, is there a link between SEL and anti-bullying? What does it look like for SEL and financial literacy? And these are one-pagers. They're great. We found feedback from principals and superintendents. They love sharing these with people who might not really understand what SEL is. So these are they're all free. They're a page and a half. They're on our website. Really encourage you to have a look, sel4nj.org. And we have these series of webinars, and this is just an example. This week, we have 9, which you've all seen the list, so we won't go through them, in detail. But last year we did the same thing, and throughout the year we tend to find topics that we feel are really pertinent, relevant, timely. We're very fortunate we have access to leaders in the field, and we provide these at no charge to the members of SEL 4NJ. So we really encourage you to sign up for some of these webinars coming up this week. They're just going to be fabulous. So Trish, that's okay. We can continue on. We want to make sure we have time for everything else. So Trish or Bill, would you like to say a little bit? Well, yeah, I can just do it and then we can move on. So the New Jersey Department of Ed and the Rutgers SECD lab have been working on creating a 5-module series of to promote, to basically for leadership. We're still settling on the title. That's why I'm kind of stumbling around on what to call it. But it's based on the Academy for Social Emotional Learning in Schools, which we'll hear about a little bit later. the leadership course. And these are going to be free trainings, and they're going to be in person, and they're going to provide trainings on the first 2 modules of the 5-module series. We'll be promoting these starting in about 3 weeks. And so keep your eyes open. It's going to be a great opportunity to learn. They're going to be held then. And also SEL Day, that I was just going to say is that they're going to be held in May in the North, the Central, and the South. And it's SEL Day. So I just want to encourage everyone this week to share the great stuff that you're doing in your schools all the time. So with that said, I am going to pass this along to my colleague, and then we will start to Bill.
Thank you, Liz. The part 2 of this this workshop today is to talk about the New Jersey Alliance for Social, Emotional, and Character Development. You see on the screen our mission. We're really here to help schools to work on 3 things. Well, maybe more than 3, but primarily 3. And those 3 things are social emotional learning capabilities for individuals, character education strengths, building those. We do believe that they are strengths that can be built, and school culture and climate. And so those are the 3 things that we really want to focus on. You'll see at the bottom of the screen a link to our email as well as our website. And you can email us for more information. You can visit our website, because we're here really as an all-volunteer organization to help schools improve their climate, their culture, their SEL, and their character for everybody in the school and the community. So that's who we are. So next slide. We believe that it's really important when you do this work to start with the core values, because we believe that core values are at the core, to use that word, of character education. So Laurie, you want to talk a little bit about this for everybody?
Sure. Thank you, Bill. And welcome to everyone to SEL Week. When we speak about core values, we're usually talking about moral, ethical, performance, intellectual, and civic values. But how do you find core values? They're unique to your school. It depends on what your school needs, where you're doing well, where you need to improve. How do you find that? Well, you look to all your stakeholders. You include students, you include parents, you include teachers, you do surveys, you create your character leadership team, and you sit and you talk about where it is that you want to go and how you're going to get there, and you create a plan. So when you're talking about core values, oftentimes people will say, well, we want to use, respect. We want to use responsibility. Yes, those are very good core values. And how will you use them? That becomes the next question. And we're going to start with Bill talking a little bit about the character strengths and the core values on our next slide.
Okay, as I said, this is at the heart of character education. The core values are really important. Laurie mentioned the 4 categories that we use: moral, ethical values, performance values, intellectual values, and civic values. And you see some examples on the screen of each: honesty and integrity, caring and compassion, and gratitude and courage for the moral, ethical values, self-discipline, responsibility, goal setting, and grit or perseverance for performance, intellectual, curiosity and carefulness, intellectual autonomy, humility, and critical thinking as examples of intellectual values. Civic values include respect and fairness, contributing to the common good, and volunteerism. These are not extensive lists. The most extensive list I ever saw of core values had about 400 listed, which I think was a bit extreme. Not all of those were actually values. Some of those were outcomes. So it's really important that this discussion happens in your school. What do you value? And the importance of core values is actually to really set some behavioral expectations for everybody in the school that become modeled by staff and also by students. And I always felt, as a middle school principal for a long time, I felt that I knew things were working when one student said to another when they were acting up in the hallway, wait a minute, we don't do that in this school, because that's when you know that these core values have really taken hold. So these, this is really important. And for the adults, modeling those for the kids is really important, because we know, we'd like to think that they listen to what we say, but we know for sure that they watch what we do. So next slide. We talk about SEL, and there are 5 domains of SEL. We'll get into that more throughout if you don't already know what they are. But this work was done by Arthur Schwartz, who's the president of character.org, and what he did was he paralleled the core values and those categories with the domains of the Castle 5. And moral character, he matched up with self-awareness, performance character with self-management, intellectual character with interpersonal relationship skills, civic character with social awareness, and both of the models share responsible and ethical decision making. So this is a really interesting model that you can look at. One of the features of it is, if you want to know what all this looks like, whether it be the character strengths or whether it be the domains at every grade level, this particular model shows you that. So next slide. One of the ways that this is implemented in schools is through the 11 Principles Framework, and this is actually a guide to school improvement. And we're going to talk about what the principles include in just a second. But knowing that this provides a roadmap for school improvement is it's really very, very useful. And we know from our experience in working with hundreds of schools in New Jersey that this really does work. And when schools use this as a guide to their school improvement, it really does reap tremendous benefits. So if we go to the next slide, I'll give you the nickel tour of the 11 principles. This is the most succinct way that I can think of to talk about these 11 principles. Principle 1 has everything to do with the core values that Laurie mentioned. Principle 2 has to do with having a comprehensive approach to character. Principle 3 uses the term head, heart, and hands, which means that students think about character, that they feel about, they have feelings about character, and they do something about character. So they think, they feel, and they act. Principle 4 is about establishing a caring environment in the school, not only from student to student, but teacher to student, teacher to teacher, parent to teacher as well. 5 is all about moral actions, providing opportunities for community service, but more important, service learning. Service learning is a tremendous way to connect service to the curriculum. And as you move to the higher levels, middle school and high school, this is a perfect way to transition this work into those upper levels. It really does work with kids who are in middle school and high school, and it teaches them they can make a difference. Principle 6 talks about challenging academics for all, whether it's the general ed population, whether it's the gifted population, or whether it's the special ed population. How is the school differentiating to make sure everybody's needs are met? It also has to do with cultural responsive teaching, so that everybody feels a part of it. Principle 7 is about motivation. Whether, everybody can react to rewards and do something to get a reward, but are kids doing what we believe to be good when nobody's watching? And so that's really what Principle 7 is all about. Principle 8 has to do with leadership from the principal and sharing that with staff and giving staff a voice. Principle 9 extends that idea to the staff's involvement in planning the character initiative, as well as other initiatives in the school. Principle 10 involves the parent and the community. And, that's a very important element, because when that happens and when there's buy-in, not only from the people in the building, but from the people who support the people in the building, it really does make a difference. And Principle 11 is perhaps the most important of all. How are you looking at your character program? How are you assessing it? What kind of modifications are you doing based on what you learned? So that's a very, very important part of this process. Next slide. The Schools of Character program is a program that was developed by the Character Education Partnership. Now it's called character.org many years ago. And it was actually a way to recognize schools who use the 11 principles as an improvement process. Now, you can use the 11 principles as an improvement process without doing this. But if you've done all that work and you've addressed all those 11 principles, then when you do this, you can get some validation of the work in your school, first at the state level, and then at the national level. And we've had many schools in New Jersey. Laurie's school, I should let Laurie talk about this, because Laurie's school has been awarded the state and national school multiple times. So Laurie, you want to chime in about this process a little bit?
Sure. I do want to say that when Bill says it's a good guide, it is an excellent guide. It's not just good, it's excellent. It draws on SEL, it draws on good character, it draws on all of the things that we want our children to grow and learn and shine with. So when you take a look at the principles and you say to yourself, well, how does our school actually implement this principle? What do we do? How do we do it? What can we do? What common language have we done? Have we shifted from the paradigm of discipline to the paradigm of mentoring? Are we encouraging intrinsic motivation? How can we get service learning, not just pay it forward, which is nice. It's nice to be able to do wonderful things for other people, but how do we make it into service learning? How do we increase all of the things that they're doing? Can they do the research? Do you have all the components for service learning? Have they have a plan of action? Do you have a reflection piece? How are you celebrating? Did you take a look at it and say, how can we improve this service learning for the next opportunity that we have? And when you take all of that information and your leadership team is your most important piece, you have people all dedicated to trying to make your school climate and culture the best it can be. Is it ever perfect? We deal with children. Most of us deal with people who are normal. We have a bell curve. Yes, they make mistakes. So is it ever perfect? No. But it's not that you want it to be perfect. It's what you want to do in response. How do you want to respond to that? You want to respond with social emotional learning. You want to respond with mentoring. You want to respond with a common language. You want to respond with understanding and caring, and say, how can we do better? So this particular guide for this program it's constant adjustment. When Bill says principle 11 is important, it is. It's probably the most important principle because it's a constant it's a constant implementation of reflection, of survey, of change, of adjustment. Some things work. You think something is going to be, this in your own life. You think something is going to be fabulous. And when you actually get to it, maybe it wasn't so fabulous. Well, how can you fix it? How can you change it? How can you improve it? What else can we do to help the children who are in front of us? And those particular pieces all come from the character education program. And as Bill said, once you put all that work into it, then you have a way to validate all of the work through the program itself and taking your application and moving it forward. Some of the things that we've used are some of the best SEL strategies that I have found on the SEL for New Jersey site. So it's not something that is impossible. And there are a ton of resources out there for you. And I would like to offer, Bill would like to talk to you a little bit about the requirements for the process on the next slide.
Yeah, basically what happens is that you start out by doing a self-evaluation. When you feel like you've attained some proficiency in the different principles and their criteria, then you can apply. When you apply, it's first scored at the state level, and then if you become a state school of character, you can move on to a national review, which includes a virtual site visit. Next slide. Okay, well, a lot of schools start with doing a promising practice. It's really easy to do. It's a much simpler application than the school of character application, but it actually gets you started. So, and we have schools that that do a promising practice every single year, and because they're trying to be innovative, because we view this as a continuing improvement process. The deadline is March of each year. The deadline's actually coming up in about 3 weeks. And if you're interested, we actually have a workshop planned coming up on the 13th of March. Next slide. Here's the timelines. I'll let you look at those on your own. Next slide. Okay, Laura, you want to just say a quick word about this because we're
I do.
right in time.
So where to start? If you want to start this, I would first get a copy of the 11 principles. Start with your staff and your parents. Do a survey. Find out how people are thinking and how what you already do fits into the guide. Many schools do a great many wonderful things. All of it will fit into the principles of character ed. Create a leadership team, add parents, get your staff and your students involved, see what they want to do, see how they feel about things. Choose core values that really are good for your school. Choose the core values that you think will work in your building. Find the common language that you think will work for you. Do you have a mantra? Can you do something in modeling? What is it that you really feel your school needs? And then talk about how you're going to implement it and be a champion in your school and encourage the other people in your building to do the same. Brainstorm, find first steps. There's nothing wrong and there's nothing right. Everything will fit. You just need to choose.
Next
Next.
slide. Okay, here's some contact information. I'm not going to go through it with any great detail, but you get the slide, you can certainly use it. And we hope that you will reach out to us because we'd love to help you start your character journey. Okay, that's us. That's it for NJASECD. Back over to the School Climate and Culture and Climate Initiative.
Great, thank you very much. And I just always love hearing about NJASECD and the schools of character. And you all offer such amazing support. And New Jersey can hold our heads so high because we have so many schools of character, and much of it has to do with the support from these lovely people, as well as, of course, just the amazing schools we have in our state. So moving on to the School Culture and Climate Initiative. I am the co-founder along with Trish, as Trish mentioned. We're based at the Center for Human and Social Development at St. Elizabeth University. We have a team of consultants who are just amazing. And if we go to the next slide, what we're going to do is very quickly, we're going to run through a couple of slides, and we're just going to give you a flavor of the sorts of ways we support schools, kind of our approach to working with schools. So that's what we're going to do today because we only have a few minutes, and we really encourage you all to contact us. We love sharing what we're doing. We love learning about what you're doing and seeing whether we can support you on your journey. So the next slide. So we have been supporting schools formally for about 15 years. And throughout the time, we've really listened to schools. We've developed resources and supports that the schools that we know have let us know that they need, that they could really see value in. So we have to say straight out too is that we are so fortunate that Dr. Maurice Elias is here in New Jersey. He is one of the great thought leaders, researchers, thinkers in the field of social emotional learning and school climate. We are so blessed that he is here in New Jersey, and we are so grateful that we can all call him a close friend, a mentor, and our work stands on his shoulders. So with that said, the School Culture and Climate Initiative has a core piece, which is called the School Climate Assessment and Improvement Process. Trish will be talking about that, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit more detail. But that's a 3-year intentional approach to school climate. This kind of work takes time, and we love to partner with schools, and schools get a lot out of this like long-term partnership. We have school support networks, which includes coffee chats as well, which we'll be talking about. It's kind of informal ways of bringing people together. We offer all sorts of professional development and SEL coaching, and we have a lab. We're very data-driven. Also within the center, we have the SEL Academy, and also because we're all involved with SEL 4NJ, and also it should be said we are launching out of the center and the New Jersey Institute for Community Schools coming up later this month. So there's a lot going on in the center. So the pillars of the initiative: we support, we connect, empower. What sets us apart nationally is that there's amazing resources in this field. We actually attach a human to almost everything we do, which really sets us apart. It should be mentioned that we started out working in New Jersey, Southern New York, White Plains School District. We've now extended to Chicago and Wisconsin. We are also supporting schools in different ways in other parts of the country. So we're very pleased that the word is getting out, and also that the human component is really valued. So next slide. We can just skip. This is just basically saying we've been around a while and we've been really busy. And so also we always, when we work with schools, we always mention that social emotional skills and school climate are like that, is that you can't separate them, and they're an absolutely interconnected process, and skills need to be practiced in an environment that's safe, and that's a positive school climate. And within that school climate, all those skills can be practiced all the time, and those skills create the positive climate. So we spend a lot of time talking to schools about that. And likewise, the next slide. So what sets the initiative apart? As mentioned before, a lot of that is the human piece. And we also know that we have this whole thing about silos, which we just don't think silos are very helpful, whether it's SEL 4NJ or the school culture and climate. A school is a complex environment. It's a complex system, and all of these things impact one another. So when we work with schools, all of our supports, we always keep that top of mind, that how humans behave really impact the school. The littlest guys all the way through teachers who have been teaching and leading for 30 to 40 years. A positive culture and climate is paramount for learning and thriving. Student staff health, and then of course an organized and coordinated school. Lots of times that gets lost in the mix when schools do their work. What happens lots of times is all sorts of programs, resources, great ideas go into a school, and you know what? They hardly ever come out. So it ends up getting kind of cluttered and jumbled up after a couple of years. So it's really important to have an organized and coordinated school. So when we work with schools, we keep this all in mind, and we help support schools through the path of like getting all these things figured out in a way that it's sustainable and the infrastructure is in place within the school to carry the work forward. And of course, data-driven decision making and professional learning communities, because relationships are important. It's so good to do work together and to learn together. So over to Trish.
Thanks, Liz. So why a focus on school climate and character education and social emotional skills now? I think we all recognize all of the reasons why it's so important to have a school community where everyone feels a sense of belonging, can thrive, given issues that we're seeing with students, mental health concerns, with staff and teacher and leadership turnover, with morale issues, with the impacts that we're continuing to see of COVID. It's really critical, we all believe here on this panel, that an intentional focus on the things that we are talking about is so critical right now. Always critical, but even more so today. So what happens when we do intentionally focus on culture and climate in the school? We create a different experience in school communities with the partnership with all of the people, adults and the kids in the school community and the community beyond the school building. School communities become more coordinated and unjumbled. Programs are implemented with fidelity, resulting in greater impact. Everyone in the school is hopefully modeling strong SEL skills so that students can imitate those strong skills. And as I said, where everyone feels a sense of connection, belonging, and all can thrive. So how do we get there? The school climate assessment and improvement process that Liz mentioned is one of the supports that we offer out of the School Culture and Climate Initiative of the Center. And it is built on all of the work done by Dr. Maurice Elias and his team during a DSAC's Developing Safe and Civil Schools project back in the early 2000s. And we have adjusted and made some changes to the approach, but it's basically has all the best practices for climate improvement. It does take time, as Liz said. So we know that climate improvement, starting with assessment, collecting data for where you are, and then improving that climate from the perception of all stakeholders is a process that does take time. So nothing really changes significantly without attention to it for about 3 years in a school. And as Maurice said, as he started this process, one of the motivations was to create a strong foundation in the school that can withhold itself through storms, the storms of changing leadership, the storms of the context changes that impact schools. And so the process itself is really meant to create an infrastructure, a set of values, commitment to intentionally thinking about and working on climate and character and social emotional skills in order to create that really foundational school. A data-driven approach is really very important, and we collect a lot of data, help schools collect a lot of data to start with a baseline and then follow up and see how much has changed in terms of strengths and excuse me, and in terms of opportunities for improving climate. It is a school-wide approach with all beings involved. And as Liz said, we do provide a human being, a consultant, who helps support the process through the entire 3 years and beyond as we continue to partner with schools. Here are some of the steps involved that you can take a look at along the way. These are the fundamental pieces that we think have to be in place. You see the alignment with the character.org principles and with what Bill and Laurie has shared, that it's really foundational to have a set of core values co-created that really does drive the behavior of the members of the community, but also helps to have the whole community working towards, striving toward the same goals in terms of their own personal and professional development, as well as, of course, their students' holistic development. Data-driven, those are some of the things that we collect in terms of the specific data. And very importantly, we help the schools to either combine or create infrastructure from existing bodies, existing committees, so that there is an enduring framework that has policies, procedures, that has representatives that are broad representation of the school community, also a student climate committee. So there's a structure for student voice through the process and student action planning to improve the school from their perspective. So that infrastructure ensures sustainability after that 3-year process. When we continue to support schools as needed, but schools are well on their way to continuing their data-driven assessment and improvement of their climate. So this is the model that I think we all use in terms of social emotional skills. So I'm not going to go over that, but I just want to mention that through the 3-year process, we also help support and encourage schools to take a look at how they are incorporating social emotional skills development for students. Maybe that can be more comprehensive, more integrated into the academic experiences that students have, and continue to talk about the relationship, as Liz said, the interrelationships of all of the things that we're talking about: good character, social emotional skills, and having a fundamentally positive climate to be in. So this is just another collection of the goals that you can take a look at. And we just wanted to point to some examples of some of the drivers of school climate. If you're not familiar with some of the research on school climate, these are some of the indicators that we collect data on, the perceptions from staff and students and parents that we collect perception data on. So the morale of staff is a really important driver of climate, not just for the staff, but for the students as well. Quality of professional interaction among the staff. And student indicators are there as well. So there's really concrete drivers that you can focus on intentionally and work toward improving. So over to you, Liz, and we just have a nanosecond left before passing it back over to Bill.
Great. Yes, it is school-led and district-wide. That's just something we can talk you through if you decide to have a conversation. It's very important. And also just in terms of any work at all, we just love this. The visual is like baby steps, teensy steps, going in the right direction are everything. And having a framework and a process allows you to do that. And also we do offer professional development and SEL coaching because we know that it's hard to do alone. Very important. These are all free. We offer totally at no cost these opportunities for people to come together in job-alike coffee chats, as well as through their school support network. So just keep your eyes out for that. We'll try to send you details so that you know, and please reach out. And I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Bill.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, Trish. The last phase of what we're talking about today is an opportunity that's offered, actually is jointly through St. Elizabeth University and Rutgers University, which is called the SEL Academies. The academy that we're going to talk about today is for SEL leadership, and it's a certificate program for in SEL for educators. And, you know, we don't believe that leaders have to have a title. You know, a teacher in a classroom makes how many decisions every single day. So that's a leadership position just as well as a principal or any other titled leader. So, you know, we have a wide range of people who do take these courses. It brings, you know, one of the things of it that really is interesting. It's an all online program. It brings people from across the globe together, and you work with people who have a lot of experience in the field. There's an international reach to this work. You can just see the number of countries. This is quite a span of time. I'm one of the course facilitators, and it is a global program. Trish, you want to talk a little bit about the learning outcomes?
Sure, and as people can see, we do really focus in the leadership level, and we do have an instruction level as well, but we focus in the leadership level on really helping school leaders to develop a leadership style that's really modeled on good social emotional skills and character. And we speak to all of the other pieces that need to be in place from a leadership level in order to really truly integrate social emotional learning throughout. So connection to district core values, strategic plans, policies, etc. So these are all of the outcomes or goals that we have in the school leader level, but it's very much starting with focus on self as a school leader or aspiring school leader, as Bill said. So this is the structure. It's a 3-course program, but it has a practicum at the end, which is great. Once you complete all of these courses, we provide a certificate. As Bill said, it's an online program, and it is just such a great experience. We see groups really gel together in cohorts throughout the course sequences. The pedagogy, Bill, you want to give a nod to? Quickly?
Sure, absolutely. It is the courses are all online. They use Zoom. Being at those workshop sessions online is an important part of the course, obviously, but there are also asynchronous activities, ones that you do offline. They include readings and article summaries, discussion forum questions every week, in the different courses, an elevator pitch, a final presentation, an action plan proposal, and in the practicum, it's really centered around a project implementation.
Right.
So
So we have a description of the 3 courses that, excuse me, you'll see when you receive the PowerPoint, and the more detail about the final project for the practicum. But we did want to just share a couple of features. As I said, and as Bill has experienced firsthand, we really have cohorts that work together with a course facilitator in both those synchronous and asynchronous ways. But we are really surprised at how quickly online classes from people coming from all over the world really create or become a cohesive group. And they have stayed friends, they have stayed peers and colleagues, and they continue to reach out to one another after. And that was really one of the important things that we wanted to create through this academy, was having more people throughout the world, really, who are educators who can help other educators do this very challenging work. So here's some reactions of students. We do want to leave a little bit of time for questions. So again, we encourage you to take a deeper dive into these and reach out, please, if you have any questions about any of the things that we've shared. You can put the question in the chat, you can just unmute. And I can't see the chat, so perhaps someone else can monitor that for us.
Trish, maybe we just stop sharing too.
Oh, what a good idea. And I can see the
There we go.
There is everybody.
Yeah.
So that was really a whirlwind tour, particularly the academy. Again, it's hard to talk about all these things when you have a time limit. One of the things that you can do is that when you get the PowerPoint, you'll see a connection for the academy. You can look online and get some more information. We do have a website, and for all of the groups, I suggest you can certainly do 2 things. Number 1, you can check us out online. We all have websites. Number 2, you can check us out with our contact information. So, I hope that this has kind of piqued your interest in some of the things that are available in New Jersey. We're really proud of the work that we do. Some of the things that some are very specific to New Jersey, and of course the academy is global. So if you want more information about any of them, we do encourage you to reach out. And if anybody has a question, we can stay on for, until the questions are answered. So, feel free to unmute and ask if you have one.
My alarm on my phone just went off. So I put the website for the academy into the chat. It's selinschools.org. And we have been running for over 7 years. And I also encourage you to use the link that's on that selinschools.org website to connect to the Rutgers University level of the academy. As Bill said, the Academy for Social Emotional Learning in Schools is in partnership between Rutgers University and St. Elizabeth University. And I co-direct the academy with Maurice Elias. So there's a link on the website to connect to that side of the partnership. And that is where the certificate for instruction is found, which is similar in structure to the school leadership level of the academy. It is designed for people who are directly involved with groups of children, and that could be teachers in traditional classrooms. It can be people in after school or before school programs, teacher assistants, teacher aides, aspiring teachers are all welcome. So as Bill said, we really define leadership broadly, as we know that all educators are leaders, and also we are all teachers in many, many, many ways. So strongly encourage you to take a deeper dive.
Wonderful.
you,
Well,
Shirley.
thank you all for joining us. And just to remind everyone, it is SEL week, so share the love, hashtag SEL Day, hashtag SEL4NJ. And thank you, Laurie and Bill and Trish, for joining us. And we hope to see everyone at some of the webinars coming up on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So they're just great. In particular, I mean, they're all going to be great. So hope you can join us. And again, if you have any questions, just please send us an email. We all know each other, so we can forward the query to whoever is most appropriate to answer. So thank you very much. Take care,
Thank you all
everyone.
for attending.